Fans TV were here, unfortunately, after another defeat. To finish Newcastle 1, Tottenham 3. I'm here with Rob Spiro and Sam Milner, who you would have seen on the Fan Reaction Show. If you haven't given that a watch, please give that a watch and a like if you don't mind. But we're going to do scoring the players. Before we do so, just want to send all our condolences to Serge Aurier's family after the tragic killing of his brother on late Monday evening, early Tuesday morning. So obviously very, very sad, puts football into perspective. And we continue with a very heavy heart, of course. We'll start with Martin Dubravka, Sam.
Made one cracking save. I was a bit disappointed in him for the first goal, which is why I'm going to give him I'm torn between a 6 and a 7 because he was beaten at the near post for the first goal, but
I don't think there's much fault for that one.
All right then, 7. You've convinced me.
No, I wouldn't even give him a 7. I would have probably even given him a 5 because he's conceded 3 at home.
Same, yeah.
And my only. No, sorry, it's your mark. It's not my mark. It's your mark for this one.
Well, no, I was disappointed with him. So because, but I only think he was at real fault. Schar was obviously the main culprit for the first goal, but I think Dubravka should maybe be doing better at his near post. He's got done there. Made a cracking save from Son, I think it was, who had a pop from 30 yards out, had a deflection on it. That was a cracking save. But I don't think he was particularly to blame in anything that transpired. It was more down to other individual errors.
I personally think, I don't know about you, Rob, but the first goal is a little bit harsh because it's gone through the player's legs and it's always more difficult for a goalkeeper to get back to his other side, and plus his weight's already on one side. So do you think that's maybe a little bit harsh from Sam there, Rob?
No, I would have said 6 because it wasn't a typical Dubravka performance today. It wasn't as if he was playing the lifesaver like he so often does. But I think my favourite part of that rating is that literally just seconds before we went live, Sam said, I'll remind you to give the score first before the description. He gets given the first one, then he gives a description before the rating. So
I'm controlling, so I know what I'm doing.
Multitasking as well, Mr. Milner tonight.
Says the one who gave him a 7, then changed it to 6.
Yeah, because
you're more indecisive than Claudia Winkleman.
Yeah, but the thing is, I often start these things off, and then whoever I'm on with gives one stupid mark out. Chiefly Kyle Thompson, who gave Krafth a 1 when I was saving Bentaleb for a special 1, and it just kind of dampens it. So I've got to think of what you Muppets are going to give the players as well. So I'm gonna stick with 6 because although the comments are saying that he couldn't really have saved the first, I don't know. It never looks good when a keeper is beaten at his near post.
I was just waiting for me popcorn there. I'll just let you two out for the rest of the night.
I was about to say, yeah.
Rob, I'm going to let you continue with Emil Krafth. It looked like BT were right. It was more like a 3-4-3, to be honest, and Emil Krafth was a centre-half for most of the night. At fault for the second goal, in my personal opinion, just doesn't see where Kane is. How do you rate his performance today?
I can't give higher than a 4, I think. And for me, like I say, I think it's the second goal that's the real decisive factor in the whole game, of course, because we were still on a high, weren't we, from that equalising goal from Ritchie, only for the celebrations to be short-lived, and we're back at square one just a matter of minutes later. If recent years have taught us anything, is that you just do not give Harry Kane a free header 6 or 7, 8 yards out. You just do not do that to him. And Krafth, it's a very simple error, really.
He's only going to miss 1 in 100 of them, Kane, from that far out. Yeah. So one of those things. I'm going to continue with Fabian Schar. I think he's went through the wars tonight, hasn't he? And he's got injured. Looks like he's out for the rest of the season as well with a dislocated shoulder. There's a little private joke there. No, he was at fault for the first goal, of course he was. And yes, there's a lot more work for Tottenham to do from Scher's mistake, but it is his mistake that leads Tottenham's attack that gets the goal. Again, he's not at fault for the second, the third, not at fault, but you did feel a bit nervy when he was at the back tonight. I'm gonna mark him the same as Krafth. I'm gonna go 4 out of 10, which I know slightly, but again, I don't think he's a centre half when there's two centre halves. I think he needs to have at least 3 because he's a little bit makeshift. He's a little bit different. I actually think Fabian Schar's probably best position is probably the 3 central defenders and 3 if you're playing 5 at the back, or possibly slightly as a defensive midfielder. I don't think a centre back pairing of him and whoever it is suits him. If I'm being brutally honest. But who knows? Let's see if he actually has a future at Newcastle, because let's see what happens from now to the summer, and who is going to be at Newcastle next season is going to be a mystery for most anyway. Sam, Federico Fernandez seems to be the only fit centre half at the club at the minute.
Yeah, bless him. He's got to be knackered. I think he's the only real proper defender that covered himself with any sort of glory, which is why I'm going to give him a good 7. It's a shame about the people that he had surrounding him today. There's nothing he could have done. He can't do it all himself. I think he's been absolutely superb this second half of the season in general. By the odd blip here and there the other week, but that was no fault of his own, because the guy's got to be knackered. I don't think he was at fault for any of their goals. Schar first, Krafth second, and then the third was we were pressing for an equaliser, which was nice to see. So yeah, Fernandez was solid. Probably our best defender of the season.
Yeah, it was just for Fernandez for me. I think he, at the minute, you can't really blame him for a lot of things at the minute, which is just a massive compliment. When you look from since lockdown, he's been one of our best defenders. So yeah, I'd possibly agree with that. I just hope that he doesn't take a niggle against Brighton, because we'll be absolutely knackered against Liverpool, who are currently losing 2-1 to Arsenal at the minute. DeAndre Yedlin, Rob. I was amazed that it wasn't Valentino Lazaro, in my personal opinion, when you look at the formation that we ended up playing, because Lazaro is better than Yedlin in that position. For me, he doesn't have a future at the football club. I think when you look at that sort of performance today, he's out of position. It's like it's not his natural position. So Steve Bruce is obviously just playing him for just a bit of freshness. Bruce doesn't seem to fancy him anymore. I can't see him being at Newcastle next season, Rob.
Judging by the reactions on the fan reaction and the comments and everything, everyone does seem to be rather unanimous in the verdict that Yedlin's finished at Newcastle. It's unfortunate because he's been here for a good few years. He's had over 100 appearances, if I'm not mistaken.
What would you rate him today?
But he is the Championship player, and thanks for reminding me. I'm sorry, but I can't give more than a 3. Very poor.
So Yedlin's getting a 3, yet Schar gets away with a 4. This is what I mean.
I think that's fair. Yes, Schar was at fault for the first
Schar played
goal.
80 minutes.
But Yedlin, he just did absolutely nothing good for us whatsoever today. And sadly, that's not the first time that I've said that in recent weeks. It's an absolute no-brainer that Lazaro should have started, especially for a lone player who's playing for potentially, whatever his next club is going to be next year, whether that be for us or Inter Milan. Who knows?
Rob, should it be for us?
Now it should be, but now would have been the ideal time to have played Lazaro, and to see Yedlin play instead of him and play badly as he did. It just feels really bad. It feels a rather sour taste.
Yeah, and saying Yedlin is the only thing that Yedlin offers is what Chris is saying is pace. It's true. The only thing he offers is pace.
Yeah. He's a good athlete, but not a good footballer.
Yeah. I'm going to continue with the 2 centre mids. I'll start with Jonjo Shelvey. I thought Jonjo Shelvey was excellent.
Not doing that, Ritchie?
No, I'll. It's the first person I got in my head. I've literally got a list under me. So the next person was Jonjo Shelvey, and I'll literally do it in order I've got. Yeah, Jonjo Shelvey's next.
Confuse everyone.
Yes, of course. I always do that. It's a mystery. Jonjo Shelvey for me next. I thought he was brilliant today. I really did. He didn't deserve to be on a losing side. instrumental to Newcastle going forward. He is our quarterback. If we're going to go NFL kind of theory, he had a lovely ball in the first half with Gayle. Just Gale's a little bit sharper and potentially could have got a shot away. But he was afraid. He had a couple of chances on goal. He was instrumental in things for Newcastle. If anything, for Newcastle going forward today. I'm going to give him an 8. I think he deserves an 8, even though Newcastle didn't win the game. And people probably look at that, that's a bit high. But you look at the chances that Newcastle had, apart from ASM's mazy runs, they were all coming from Shelvey. Or the majority of them were coming from Shelvey, at least. So I think he was arguably man of the match in Newcastle today. I don't know if anybody disagrees with that.
Maybe one that could challenge that a bit later on. But I love how Jonjo Shelvey has kind of matured and finally grown up a bit, because he's not making any stupid mistakes, as in lashing out and getting silly red cards. He's not drifting through games anymore and stropping and not working to get back. He always puts in a shift now. His passing's superb. He's just a solid, real, brilliant anchor to have in that midfield. Him and Hayden work really well together. And
what do you say there?
Him and Hayden.
Did you say planker? I thought you said
anchor.
Oh, anchor. I thought you said something else there.
So not quite what Robbie Savage is.
No, definitely not. that was quite quick, Rob. I'll give you that one. Well done, Rob E. Sam, Nabil Bentaleb.
Well, why have you got to give me freaking Bentaleb every time? I wanted him before.
It's the next name on my list.
Yeah, clearly. 3 out of 10. Can't string a pass together. Can't tackle. More around rings around him. No, absolutely woeful. Don't know why he played. Don't know why he's continuing to play. Don't know why he's getting a look in ahead of Matty Longstaff. I just can't see the point. Did a couple of nice passes, which is why he's not getting a 2. But Mora and Son were Spurs' only positives to take from that first half. We dominated. And Mora was running rings around Bentaleb. He had him flat on his backside on a couple of occasions. To think that he might have not had studs in his boots, he was slipping around like freaking Bambi. Anyone who's watched any of our scoring the players over the past few weeks knows full well how I feel about Bentaleb. I was probably one of the first people to call him out on why he was here when we were stood outside the Emirates. I don't know why he keeps getting a look in. Well, we do know why. It's because Matty hasn't signed in his contract. But it might seem a bit harsh, but if Yedlin's getting a 3, then Bentaleb certainly deserves a 3.
Yeah, I possibly a little bit harsh. But I say a little bit harsh, but my rating was either a 4 or a 5, so it wasn't massively harsh. But it's just, again, I agree with Sam. Matty Longstaff, for me, when you look at Bentaleb's performances against Watford and Manchester City in particular, why Matty wasn't given a chance against Tottenham, I'll never know.
He keeps playing like, when he starts as well, he keeps playing like 85, 90 minutes. He never gets taken off until it's like too late. It's like 85th minute before Matty came on tonight. He played the full 90 at the other week. Not Watford, the week. Was it Man City? He played full 90 minutes. Yeah, Man City played full 90 minutes, and it was the worst display. I still can't think of a worse display I've seen than that one that Bentaleb showed that night. I'll move on before I burst a blood vessel.
Yeah. Rob, Matt Ritchie, quickly.
So we're going from centre mid to left wing back. Very natural indeed.
Well, I don't think it was left wing back today. I thought it was more of a left midfielder today, Rob.
Yes.
I today I'll give him a 7. Excellent goal. Brilliantly taken goal. Fantastic finish. Absolute thunder bastard, which I think is one of the best words I've ever heard. I just wish that it was within 9 letters so I could get it on countdown. But yes, Matt Ritchie. I think today, other than the goal, I'd say it was a distinctly average performance. Yes, he was piecing some good passes together, but certainly the goal is most definitely what sticks in your mind more than anything today. So yeah, I think seven's fair.
ASM for me. Spurs were terrified of them at times. They really, really were. And they just didn't know what to do with
the
him.
only way they stopped him was by kicking him and fouling him. Yeah,
it was just one of those games where if he just had that end product, he might have got a hat trick today because he just didn't. He just did his end product at times. It was just shots dragging wide, or Lloris is really, really comfortable with them. So, like I said with the lads with We Are Tottenham TV, I said he's a little bit like what Adama Traore was last season when Wolves bought him. He scares the living daylights out of players, but they're not bothered about his end product because they know at the minute he's not providing the end product consistently. When he will, because I feel that he will do that for Newcastle or another club, depending on how the next few months come, then he'll be a hell of a player because at the minute he's not really getting to that next level just yet. He's not at Traore's level, in my opinion. I should have said the score first. I'm going to go 7 out of 10 for ASM today. I think all he was missing was a goal today. All he was missing was a goal. If he had a goal, he would have been a lot higher. But yes, he terrified Spurs' defence, but not enough chances on target today. He needs to be testing Lewis a little bit more with a little bit more tougher shots, in my opinion. It might be harsh, but I think so highly of him now that he needs to be getting his end product right for him to get the higher scores, in my personal opinion. It might be a little bit harsh, but that's how much I think he can improve.
At least.
No, not for me today.
It does have to be. He was the best player on the park today by a country mile.
Not for me. Did he ever make Lloris make a diff? It wasn't me, actually. It was my brother, I think.
Yeah, I know.
No, it's Johnny's haunted house again. Doors open. Haunted house. That's only 29 for you.
Yeah, exactly. If he made Lloris into a few tough saves or tougher saves, then 8. But for me, he needs to be a little bit better towards goal, but a good performance to an extent, in my opinion. Sam, I'm going to give you Miguel Almiron. He was all right in spells, but do you think Spurs were really worried about him today?
He started really brightly and looked sharp. He had 2 good chances really early on, which he completely fluffed. Which is why I'm going to give him a 5. I mean, he did look bright. He kind of faded late on and wasn't really supplying anything towards the end of the second half. It kind of counted against him a little bit because I was hoping he'd nudge more towards a 7, the way he started. But he's starting to go missing in games lately, is Miggy. Always puts in a shift, but he's not really doing anything with it. And I think that was a bit of the case today after the first 20 minutes or so. Really good, solid opening 20 minutes. Newcastle completely dominated the game. And Almiron and ASM were a huge part of that. But towards the end, there wasn't much coming from him, which is maybe a little bit harsh. But I still think 5 is fair enough for Miggy tonight.
Yeah, again, similar to Maximin too. Well, not as bad. He was worse than Maximin, in my opinion, as well. But he just needs to, I don't know, be a bit more greedy. Like, have a few shots and try and see if he get on target a bit more. Like, he's shooting at times as woeful. Like the corner that worked well. Any half decent strike of the ball, Lloris is struggling a little bit with that corner. That just little things like that with me.
Bobbles up and hits his shin though.
Yeah, possibly a bit harsh, but I don't know. I just think he can do so. It's a bit like Maximum. He can do so much more, but they're just not showing it at times, and that's why Newcastle don't come away with a point against Tottenham or a win against Tottenham, and now we end up losing 3-1.
It was never a 3-1 game.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. At best, at worst for Newcastle was just a 1-goal defeat at worst. Dwight Gayle, Rob hit the post.
Yeah,
his hold-up play was better today. There was moments where, like they say, the Shelvey pass. If he notices that pass just a second later, he's got a good chance on goal. But he is probably Newcastle's best option up front at the minute.
True, he's in decent form, but what do we say about Dwight Gayle and Championship-esque opponents and Tottenham and not a Championship style opponent? So today, he struggled. I think if it was against a worse team today, then that ball that Shelvey played through and he had the chance to get the shot away. Yeah, on a different day against a worse team, he probably would have got that shot away and most likely would have scored. Other than the header that hit the post, I think he was very, very unlucky because he was getting into the right areas in that first half, but second half, he just seemed to go missing a bit. Yeah, good question. I'll go for 6. 6 today. It was a good first half that would have warranted about a 7, maybe an 8 if I'm being generous, but second half just went missing before it got subbed off.
Yeah, it was an unfortunate afternoon for him because I think if that goal goes in, that's another goal and it's another point to his tally. They're saying, well, look, this is how many goals he's scoring.
Confident.
Exactly, 100% agree.
Does say a lot about our squad, though, the fact that Gayle is still our best striker 4 years on.
He is, but who's better? Who's better than
exactly?
I get your point, Sam, but nobody's better than him.
No, I completely agree. He is our best striker, but that just tells you how far off we are as a squad in that department so far. It's pretty embarrassing, really.
Do you know what I think we need to do? I think we need to go out and spend £40 million on a good striker.
Yeah, instead of a makeshift left winger.
Yeah. Right. I'm going to start with the substitutes. I'm going to start with Valentino Lazaro, who I think should have started today, in my opinion. And we'll touch about maybe that point with Steve Bruce's rating very, very shortly. For me, Valentino Lazaro gets a 6 out of 10 for me. I think when he was on the ball, he looked bright. I thought he was trying to get involved, and he was involved to a degree with the goal. Like when he was running towards goal, more than what Yedlin did in 50-odd minutes. I know I'm probably being a bit generous with the fact that he had some impact on the goal.
Over the 7.
Did you really? Well, It's a 6. It's a 6. But again, if Newcastle, regardless of Newcastle getting a takeover and not sign this guy because he's better than what we've got. He is better than what we've got. Is he better than Atto? Yes. Is he better than Ritchie over a run of games? Potentially going forward, he is. I know Ritchie's just scored a screamer today. But if Lazaro over a run of games over Ritchie, I think Lazaro is probably more effective going forward, where I think Ritchie is more disciplined going back, in my personal opinion. But I'll go 6 out of 10. Sam, Joe Linton is the number 9 that was on the bench and got about 20 minutes, 25 minutes roughly. Do you think maybe it's just not working for him? And I think do Newcastle now just need to cut the losses on him, because when he came out today, he gave the ball away a few times, and I'm sick of kind of watching him now. Like I'm getting to that point with Joe Linton.
Yeah, it is getting a bit like that lately, isn't it? Especially when Gale's coming in and more or less doing the business. I'm giving him a 3 because I think he was equally as bad as Bentaleb. Didn't do anything when he came on. Had a good solid 20 minutes. Bless you. Had a good solid 20.
Thank you.
Bentaleb had more than 22 minutes though.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, but still did naff all. What's Joe Linton doing when he come on?
Not a lot.
If anything, he's weakening. He's making our attack weaker when he comes on. You took Gayle off, who I thought did well tonight, particularly as they're pumping it long to him and he's having to battle against the likes of Alderweireld, which he did really well. That header was a cracking header. It was so unlucky not to go in. Great glancing header to the far post. Absolutely superb. So unlucky, but when Joe Linton comes on, you're just like, well, that's it. You may as well sit back. Bring on a freaking centre back.
I'm getting to the stage now, Sam, where I bring Tom Allen on or bring Muto on over him, because
100%.
there can't be any worse than Joe Linton. And I'm sorry if people think I'm being harsh on him, but when he comes on, what does he bring to a game at the minute? He just doesn't bring anything to the game, in my opinion. If he starts the game next season, like the first game of the season next season, Newcastle will not win that game. They won't win that game, or he won't score in that game for sure. So 3 out of 10 for Joe Linton from Sam there. Matty Longstaff's getting a non-applicable because he was only on for about 5 minutes and he literally just ran around and made a couple of passes, and it's not fair in my opinion with Matty Longstaff. He needs to be given game time. Just starting against Brighton. Just starting. What's the worst that could happen? What is the worst that could happen? That's my little rant on that one. Let's try and see if we can all agree on Steve Bruce. The formation I don't think was that bad. It was just a couple of bits of personnel. I'd like to see a couple of bit of maybe Lazaro start. I'd like to see Matty start for Nabil Bentaleb as well. My rating would have been 3-1. I'm going to go 5. I'm going to go straight down the middle, mainly because in my opinion, I don't know what you two would go with before we make the final decision. Just we'll see if we can just agree on a score, and then we'll talk about it. Rob, what would you give him just to get Sam?
I was thinking 5. I just think today, tactics-wise, I'm not sure the formation really helped, and I think playing Krafth in centre back was a bit of a mistake, especially when you're able to maybe play Schar and Fernandez as your 2 centre backs and play 4 at the back, and maybe put Krafth in the right back position. Playing him in centre back was the wrong call tonight, and I think the substitutions as well, bringing them way too late, especially when you're able to have 5 now. He needs to work on those.
Sam, do you agree with the 5 marking firstly?
Full house.
Full house.
5 out of 10 for me. Positives.
We played well going forward. Yeah.
We did. We didn't deserve to get beat like that tonight at all. We played well. There were some real positives out there going forward. How many times are we saying, though, that, we would have really liked to have seen Lazaro start? How many times are we sat here saying, why isn't Matty playing? Bruce says it's not because of his contract. It is. Yeah, it is because of that. Maybe he could have stuck to a flat back 4, but then you put Manquillo left back again, that don't work. You put Bentaleb left back, that doesn't work. You put Krafth left back, that doesn't really work. Then you're left with Schar in a back 4.
Danny Rose will be back for Brighton, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. Loved that he made an early substitution, bringing off Yedlin and bringing on Lazaro. That changed the game. Got the goal pretty much straight away, and then kind of dwelt. We didn't stay in the game that long after that, and then left it too long, and then brought Joe Linton on instead of Tom Allen. Why these lads aren't getting a chance at this point when we're fully safe, and he's just lumping on Joe Linton in hope more than expectation these days, just to try and give him any opportunity to build his confidence up, which it's not doing. It's so apparent Joe Linton's a confidence player, and his confidence is just dissipating more and more each week. But
who do you think's to blame for that?
Good question. You could argue a couple of factors, Rob. I suppose you could factor maybe the coaching side, the coaching team, because they're not obviously getting the best out of Joe Linton. Can they not work with him in training just to work on what he's not doing well at? Or do you blame the player himself who just isn't taking on board what the coaching team has said? Do you blame the scout for bringing him in the first place? That could be a question.
That's a big
tough one.
Recruitment. Yeah. But also, why aren't you? I would have been going, especially with the likes of Andy Carroll on the training pitch. Surely there's some lessons to be learned off Andy when he's not, especially as he's injured so often. Surely he can, pass on some knowledge. Was that a ghost I heard in the background? Again,
probably.
But Carroll spends so much time injured. Then the least he can do is get on the training pitch, and he's an experienced international. Pass on some knowledge. Why isn't he not being shown tapes of Rondon last year? Rondon,
you said don't talk about him anymore.
Type. It doesn't matter.
He's not that sort of player.
He's not that player.
No, he's not. But that's why they're
being made to try. He's being tried to they're trying to force him into making Rondon 2.0 when he's not that sort of player at all.
But what sort of player is he?
Poacher.
Is he?
Well, he's not, because he's not Dwight Gayle. Dwight Gale's a poacher.
He's not. Dwight Gayle scores goals occasionally.
Tell all the boys you know.
Exactly. Rob, quick question. Will Bruce get more points than Rafa?
He already has, hasn't he?
He was on 43. Was it 43 or 45? In his first season back in the Prem. In the first season back in the Prem.
Man.
I thought it was his first season back. He got 43 or 45, something like that.
No, we got more points last season than we did the first season back.
I think it was 45, wasn't it?
Maybe.
Rob will tell us on scoring the players against Brighton.
Either way, look, at the end of the season, when that comes next Sunday, it's going to be around about the same amount of points. So, I mean, I just think it goes to show that, a lot of the end product comes from the players not necessarily the manager, because of course, yes, Rafa Benitez is a better manager than Steve Bruce, and anyone knows that. But I think Bruce deserves huge acclaim for the job that he's done. He came in during into a very hostile environment when lots of fans just refused to support him, even or judge him during his time for his games at Newcastle, refusing to judge him on that, instead judging him on his ability as a so-called championship manager. So I think he deserves a lot of acclaim for getting safety with flying colours and with time to spare.
Yeah, apparently it was 45, Rob. So got 45 last season for Newcastle. So it's one win. Can you not beat Brighton?
No.
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 I think we could beat Brighton.
The squad,
if we play like we did today, we'll beat
squad.
Brighton.
Yes, but is them going to be fit?
Probably not.
I think we do stand a chance of playing them. I think they'll probably be safe, I reckon, or safe enough at least going into the game on Monday. So I think now's a good time to play them because they'll be wanting to have a bit of a break, like what we're on at the moment, playing like we're on a bit of a break. They've just come off a really hard relegation battle. They've had a very difficult 2020 with not getting a win until after the restart. So they're just going to want to put their feet up, I would assume.
Yeah. A quick question for you both before we go. Say, for example, we lose against Brighton and we lose against Liverpool. That would be how many defeats in a row? 5 defeats in a row to end the season? Does that bring into question Bruce's position? 5 defeats in a row?
No, I think I personally think if this takeover happens, Bruce probably won't be there. Whether that's right or wrong, we'll have that debate on another video. But if this takeover doesn't happen, he will be there next season because he has done the sole primary objective. Keep us in the division, let us play Premier League football, let us get us that money off the TV companies that pay a lot of money to watch Premier League football, get Premier League football rights. That's all they're happy about. 17th would have been a good job for them. So 13th is an even better job. We'll end this scoring the players here. Debate and more debate about scoring the players. And a slightly frustrating afternoon/evening at St James's Park. Newcastle lost by 3-1. Lee will be talking to We Are Tottenham TV later on tonight, and there's also The Last Word, in which we'll discuss everything in regards to Newcastle versus Tottenham. And then on Monday night, we've got Brighton and Hove Albion at the Amex, 6 o'clock kickoff once again. We'll have all the reaction with scoring the players once again, the live fan reaction. We'll try and get a Brighton fan involved if we can. And also we'll get The Last Word on Monday night from the Amex. My thanks to Rob Spiro and to Sam Milner. Thanks very much for getting all your comments in. And we'll see you all very, very soon.